Welcome to Synthaholics. Your host, David Duncan, and with me is...
Brian.
Welcome, Brian. How goes
Welcome me. It goes forward. David, how are you doing?
Time, it always goes forward, never backwards.
No,
Dang,
we don't
that
have control
time.
over that. So we got The Boys is going to be our main topic of decision. I get decision topic, I guess. We both really like The Boys season 1 and season 2, and we're excited for season 3. So we thought we'd talk about The Boys season 1 and then eventually season 2 when we can get to it.
Before season 3 comes out, because it just would feel weird to just jump into season 3 out of nowhere, since Synthaholics has never officially talked about The Boys past. I'm sure we've mentioned it here and there, because Aaron and I were both big fans of The Boys. We enjoyed it. An entire episode talking about it. Comes today, my friend.
That changes. Everything changes today.
Changes. But, Brian,
first, there's always news.
Topic.
There's always news. I always got some news going on.
Well, I mean, every other week there's got to be something that's happened.
Yeah, every 2 weeks I'll come up with one thing. Nintendo is becoming more anti-consumer as they advance as a company. They're starting to treat their fans like garbage more and more. So,
are you just now noticing this?
It's getting worse and worse. It's getting worse and worse.
Okay, explain your worse and worse, and I'll see.
Okay, well, for this particular example, Nintendo is suing and sent a takedown notice for a guy who had a 25-year-old strategy guide for Super Mario 64, and they're going to sue him because he scanned it and then uploaded it to Twitter. So they're suing him now because he did that. I
mean, that is taking their anti-consumerism to the next level. That is pretty bad. My anti-consumer take of Nintendo has been around since, I don't know, the Game Boy. Because, they had the Game Boy, then they had the Game Boy Color, then they had Game Boy Color with the light, and then they had, the Super Game Boy Color with an even better light than the first Game Boy Color with a light. And then they had Game Boy Advance, then they had the Game Boy Advance with a light, then they had the Game Boy Advance with the flip screen and the light. I mean, it's the same hardware, guys. They're just, they just gouge you for the same,
They changed the color.
The hardware that should have been there at launch, they withhold, because LEDs were brand new technology when finally put them in to the Game Boy Advance, even though they had them in the Game Boy Color, third generation or whatever. I mean, but they withheld it from the Game Boy Advance first gen. They could sell you a second gen light in it, and it also they could sell you accessories. Nintendo's been pretty anti-consumer forever, but
the problem is they make a good game. They make good games.
Well, I mean,
they keep getting away with it.
I mean, I understand they make good games, and people generally like their hardware. Fine. I mean, I do enjoy some Nintendo games. I'm just not a big fan of how they
treat their fans.
Nintendo is kind of like Apple with the way they
the Apple of video games.
They're kind of the Apple of video games because they love nickel and diming you and making you upgrade every 2 years or whatever it is. Because we've got the Switch.
That is true.
The OLED Switch, which it's a nicer screen, but graphics are only so good on the Switch as it is. I mean, do you really need the crisper OLED screen for Arceus?
The same graphics? You need a top tier screen so you can see Arceus in wonderful 720p.
You can see those monsters pop in and out of existence and stutter when you're getting a little bit further away from them. That looks even better on an OLED screen. So yeah, I don't know.
Well, that's the Nintendo anti-consumerism news.
I mean,
I got more.
News. More? Okay.
I got more. Witcher 4 was announced, and CD Projekt Red is having a hard time filling roles because of Cyberpunk, probably because of all the crunch and being treated terrible is starting to come out from the studio. And Jason Slama, I think that's how you pronounce his last name. I don't know. They're not from America. They got weird names to me. But
they're Polish.
He said the crunch will not happen on his watch.
They said that for the entire duration of Cyberpunk 2077 too.
Yeah. So I don't know. I'm curious to see what it's being built in Unreal Engine instead of their own engine. So maybe the combat will be nicer.
Yeah,
those are the worst things about those games is the combat.
that would be nice if they fix.
Yeah.
Unreal Engine 5 looks absolutely incredible. I'm excited to see what a Witcher game will look like in Unreal Engine. I am, however, concerned that they have not learned from their mistakes. That they've announced a game that it's probably
will come out in 12 years.
that is still 8 years out from being released because that's how Cyberpunk was. They released Cyberpunk. I mean, they announced Cyberpunk way too early. Like
I think in 2012.
They announced it before Witcher 3 came out. And then Witcher 3 got delayed after they announced Cyberpunk. So, I mean, they didn't hardcore start working on Cyberpunk either until that was done. I mean, granted, Cyberpunk is done and there's supposedly other big, or no, first big deal sometime. Done with it, I guess. If they add multiplayer to it.
Probably not.
And they've also announced that they're going to be working on both titles simultaneously. They're going to have a Cyberpunk team. So, I mean, like, okay, but I mean,
they got to earn their status back.
Say what you will about, they're not earning it back, repeating the same mistakes they've done before. I mean, say what you will about Bethesda, but like, they don't show off gameplay until at least the 6 month mark before the game comes out, and then they have a release date. Granted, Starfield got its release date ago, give or take, with a cinematic trick, but
no gameplay.
In a couple of months, we'll probably have gameplay. Once we get
hopefully
that 6 to 7 month drop for Starfield, and that's kind of nice. Like you know, I mean, they had to just cover their butts because Fallout 76. They knew it wasn't going to be received well. They knew the game was going to be garbage, so they had to say, "Yeah, we're working on Elder Scrolls and Starfield." Like they knew.
They knew it was going to be bad.
Going to happen with Fallout 76. So they had to say, "Hey, we're working on these too." So I mean, they did announce those early. The Fallout 4 announcement to the Fallout 4 release was one of the most phenomenal things I've ever experienced as a gamer. There was rumors it was coming out, nothing concrete. Concrete news comes out, trailers, gameplay, cinematics, and then 6 months later, I'm playing the game. As a gamer, that was one of the best gaming experiences of my life, for the fact that I wasn't waiting 3, 4, 5 years.
10, 12.
Or, 10, 12, from the announcement to, speaking of 10, 12, what is Star Citizen?
Star Citizen.
That's still an alpha, kind of? I mean, like... we don't even have a beta for that yet. Is it 3 games now instead of 2? I don't know what.
Well, there's all games that take a long time. Final Fantasy VII Remake, that also took a very, very long time to make.
Yeah, that was 7 years from announcement to the first part, and only seen Midgar. They put out an expansion, and guess what? The expansion set in Midgar. Oh, wow, I've never seen this place before.
Yeah, so, I mean, game development takes a long time. It's just how it is.
It does, and it's just, I don't know, waiting forever is not a fun experience.
No, but especially if the game turns out not to be worth it. Yes. They spend 7 years developing a game, you buy the game for $60, and then you decide this wasn't worth 7 years of waiting and $60.
It's disappointing. So it's just sad that they've... I mean, I guess they had to do it for the same reasons. Cyberpunk was a big disappointment, so I guess they had to announce something is coming. But at the same time, it's kind
of... Yeah. Well, last piece is E3 is officially canceled digitally and physically.
That's what I actually mentioned to you this week. I actually wrote that to you earlier in the week.
Yes, you did. The news reporter broke it.
Yeah. Oh, it's just funny because I mean, you told me months ago that E3 canceled. I'm like, oh no, this digital E3 because it was digital last couple of years, digital again this year, and then earlier this week, or Tuesday,
they officially got rid of E3.
Digital,
which kind of sucks. It felt like a Christmas. It felt like a Christmas in the middle of like the summer, I guess. Which also is summer, being that now that Jeff Knightley has Summer Games Fest, maybe that'll turn into the new E3.
Maybe. I mean, we can only hope, but it's funny because the Christmas analogy really works out. Ever since I was 12-ish, like E3 was always one of my favorite times of year. Like, even if I didn't subscribe to a video game magazine, I would go with my mom to Walmart or whatever and like look through the video game, like look at the magazines and look for the one that said E3 on it. I would buy the E3 one so I could like see what's coming out. Like, this was the event. This is before the internet and stuff back when I was 12, so we'd dial up. Like, not a good way to read back in the day. Magazines. I was always excited to get summer, and it's always a giant on the cover. E3, like, yes!
Electronics Game Expo! And now it's no more. It has died. Maybe it'll come back in 5 years.
I mean, E3 has had its ups and downs. It's kind of died before it can come back, although
it's dying more and more.
Sony is kind of like killed it by dropping out the last couple. When 1/3 of like your stuff coming anymore.
And then EA like tries to step in and ups their game, and nobody cares about EA games at all, and they're just kind of there. Bethesda doesn't have enough games to show. Like, Microsoft is really the only one. Microsoft's been carrying E3 for the past couple of years, I think. Nintendo, I don't know, they got some cool games coming out, but none of them are like Microsoft level of like, here's 75 games.
But Nintendo also does their Nintendo Direct, so they don't even need to show.
Yeah, well, they've always done that. They've done that even with E3 going on. They'd always have Nintendo Directs.
Sure. So, but I mean, their participation isn't big because.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. So, on to the meat and potatoes. The meat and the potatoes.
Meat and taters. Boil them, mash
the
them,
boys.
stick them in a stew.
Boil them, mash them, stick them in a stew. Samwise Gamgee.
Samwise Gamgee.
So, David, the boys. Season 1, not season 2 or 3. Season 1. What do you rate the boys?
God, the season 1, I'd say this is like a 9.5. This was such a surprise as a show. I'd never followed the comic books. I haven't read them. I did actually get like volume 1 Boys Humble Bundle train thing. I think the volume 1 of the
in there?
I think it's in there. I downloaded it. I haven't looked at it yet, but it was like volume 1 of the Boys. So I will eventually get around to reading the Boys comic. Yeah, for him. Was unfamiliar with it. It kind of came out of nowhere. It was really fun having a superhero show that kind of turned everything on its head and just kind of made it as like if superheroes were real. This is kind of how it would be in real life. They would be monetized, social mediaized, and they would be probably the most corrupt people in the world. As they say, like, absolute power corrupts absolutely.
Yeah.
And so like this show is just absolutely fantastic. Carl Urban is one of my favorites. One of my favorite actors. I really love him. He's like one of the most versatile sci-fi geek actors there is. He was in Lord of the Rings, Chronicles of Riddick, Star Trek,
Thor.
Yeah, he was in Thor. Yeah, he was in Thor 3. He was Gwyneth Paltrow.
Kate Blanchett.
Yeah, Kate Blanchett's henchman. Yeah. Done some great nerd thing. This is role in a superhero show, man. What about you, Brian?
I'm gonna give it a 9. Season 1 gets a 9 for me. I mean, yeah, this show kind of like came out of nowhere. Nobody really knew. I didn't even really know what it was even after it came out. It just kind of like through word of mouth, people were like, yeah, you need to watch The Boys. I was like, I didn't know what that was.
The Boys
found out it's on Amazon. I got Amazon.
Is it a show about pedophiles? Like, what is this?
It could have been. At that point, it could have been because I didn't know.
I didn't know what it was either. I was like,
I didn't like watch trailers. I wasn't prepared. I wasn't like excited for this. It just kind of came out.
It did. It came out of nowhere. I mean, I heard about it through word of mouth, but I had not seen a trailer for it or anything. I heard about it from other people before I saw any visual about this show at all.
Yeah. and it is a beautiful disaster. The show is fantastic. I mean, I think we're approaching levels of like, Peacemaker's kind of similar in terms of like the way they try to tackle the show a little bit, and Peacemaker was also very good. So maybe that's more like adult. I don't know, maybe for adults, made by adults for adults to enjoy is kind of like the superhero stuff I like, I guess, nowadays.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I mean, the superhero stuff made for adults is definitely. I mean, maybe this is what made like some of the newer Marvel stuff seem not as good. You know what I mean? Because it's been a couple of years.
That could be coming into play, I guess. I don't know, because the Marvel movies are definitely targeted more towards an E for everyone type of thing. The Boys is not an E for everyone. You probably don't want to watch it unless you're a bit older than if you're going to just go watch like any of the Marvel movies. But yeah, 9. I'm giving it a 9.
Yeah, this show was absolutely incredible. And the thing is, it's only 8 or 9 episodes.
Oh, I don't know. I don't even remember. It kind of when I first watched this show, I just like watched all of it in like 2 days, and then after it was over, I was like, oh,
yeah,
that's it.
I rewatched all of it in 2 days, but the thing is, I feel like it's less than 10, maybe it's 10, but it feels like a lot happens for only a few episodes.
Yeah, you are right.
Like
and we'll break that down.
It's pretty dense. Yeah. It's really well done. Can't wait for the story. Just on a side note, I did start watching the Diabolical Anime. Watch any of those episodes out of curiosity?
I am aware of it. I have not watched any of it. I saw the trailer. It looks like it's similar to like what Invincible was, which someday we might talk about, but I don't know how where it stacks up compared to that.
I watched the first 4 episodes. They're all one-offs.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It doesn't follow a story?
It does not follow us. I was honestly kind of disappointed with the Diabolical. I only watched 4 episodes, and I kind of want to watch the rest. Do it because they're only like 17 or 20ish minutes a piece, a different length. But the first episode was like a weird parody of Baby Day Out.
Oh, okay. So it's not like what you were thinking at all.
But with no dialogue. Like the first episode,
there's no talking either?
The first episode had no talking. It was a parody of Baby's Day Out. It felt like an old like Looney Tunes show where it was just all visual storytelling, just by watching a series of catastrophic events happening. But it's also like extremely violent. So I'm not even sure what this is catered to.
So it's animated, but it's not geared towards kids.
No, it's extremely violent, but I mean, it also didn't capture me. Like it wasn't really telling it over. It's just like weird little snippets of like weird things that happen with one episode is like a out thing at a target right, maybe with a guy freaks out. Acting big. Construction equipment, like very post parody of. Second episode is a bunch of like superhero rejects, where one guy's got tits for face, another guy's got a radio for a head, another person got turned into a touch anything. No one can touch her.
How about that?
But she can't. But she's always hungry, but she can't eat. And like there's all these side effects of Compound V, like just ex superheroes and their parents, like this home for disenfranchised children who. Okay,
so it doesn't sound like it sounds like it's okay. I'm not hearing anything like I need to watch it.
Yeah, so far, I mean, I'll probably finish watching the rest of it the coming week. But I wasn't as impressed with the cartoon. I was hoping it would follow a story like Invincible was fantastic. So and The Boys has been fantastic. So I was a little bit disappointed by the cartoon. But back to season 1 of The Boys. I was just curious.
Yeah, let's reel it back. Let's reel it back in. I haven't dabbled yet. So we open up pretty much the show with Huey, who is our main character. He is with his significant other, his girlfriend, and A-Train, who is the who has the same abilities as like the Flash, does a drive-by, a flyby, a run-by.
Run-by.
He does a run-by and turns Huey's significant other into mush.
Red Mist.
Yes, Red Mist.
Except for her
and
hand,
that is pretty much
intact.
the boys would not exist if this did not happen. It is instrumental to the entire The Boys season 1, I guess, really, because that's what puts Huey in these situations where he meets Carl Urban and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Like the one thing that happens early on is he has that lawyer come over and like try to buy him off. What?
A settlement.
Yes, a settlement with an NDA, so he can't discuss it. And
they only offer him for like just over $40,000 for it.
$45,000 for his girlfriend's
restitution.
And like, you're not even married, so like you should be happy with this amount. And I liked how he had that weird mental break. I kind of wish he had more of those. Like where like he sees things happen like in like what he wants to be.
Yeah.
Like if I have a complaint, it's not even really a complaint. It's just like they showed it once, so I was kind of hoping like he'd have like some kind of like mental break where it kept happening, where he kept seeing stuff, and then like he eventually kind of becomes what himself doing in these like out. You know what I mean? Because he's like way more aggressive and violent.
I guess, but like how much more? I don't know. I don't want him to do that, because if he does that, then that means we're going to be losing. He's going to start taking action scenes away from like the people that are actually cool at doing action.
Like Carl Urban.
Yes. Like I want to watch them. I don't really care about Huey doing action. He's just kind of there.
He's just kind of there. But Huey does do a soup kill.
He does do a soup kill in this, which we will get into.
But and the thing is, now that I know Boimler is Huey, I keep seeing Boimler.
You keep hearing Boimler?
Yeah, I keep saying it's Boimler.
Boimler's talking.
When he freaks out, like I'm hearing Boimler so much more now that I read. Excellent.
That's the lower decks guy. That's what the lower decks guy looks like. Well, shortly after the settlement happens, enter Billy Butcher. Huey works at like an electronics store. I don't like a Radio Shack-esque type of store. And this is where Butcher, who I'll refer to him as because that's what everybody else really calls him, Butcher, just crashes his car. Well, actually, he's crashing his car into this Radio Shack-esque store because Translucent caught him, who is one of the 7. Translucent is like their Justice League invisible guy. He's on David's background. He's invisible. He's just wearing clothes. And Huey goes to Vought, which is the 7, the company that runs all these superhero stuff.
Vought,
I guess,
the superheroes. Like they franchise them out, set up their movies, set up their TV shows.
Yeah.
Set up the crime they stop.
Yeah. So that's where Huey went to have it make A-Train, who's the super fast guy, apologize to him and do some lawyer stuff, and he tries to plant a tracker in there or something.
Butcher instructs him to.
Yeah, Butcher instructs him to. And then the fight at the Radio Shack thing happens because Translucent follows him to the Radio Shack place, right? Because he tracked him. And then that's where Butcher comes in and crashes his car, and they catch Translucent, and they keep him in a dog cage.
Electrified dog.
Yeah, so then we cut to Starlight. I can't remember. Annie? I think Annie is her name.
Annie.
Her name's Annie. They're looking for a new member of the 7. I don't remember exactly why they're looking for. Is it because
Lamplighter's gone?
Oh, he's retired, right? He's retiring.
Yeah, but like we learned about what actually happens with Lamplighter in season.
Yeah, but we're not talking about season 2. We can't spoil things.
I know, but it's just like I didn't realize who she was replacing until I was watching this. Oh, it's the guy from season.
Yeah. So they Starlight joins the 7 and immediately gets like sexually assaulted by the Deep, I guess.
By their Aquaman.
Yeah, by their version of Aquaman, who kind of sucks.
Who definitely likes to do fish.
Yeah, he definitely likes to do fish. 100%. 100%.
Just like at the end of the not the Peacemaker show, it's like, yeah, you fish. He's like, no, I don't. You.
The one thing about the Deep is like he felt like he could have been a cool character until he like sexually assaulted or tried to, I guess. I don't know like what legal jargon you'd have to use to do it. He kind of just like talked to her weird.
Well, she also admitted that he was her favorite, and then like
never meet your heroes.
Yeah, never meet your heroes. They'll whip out your junk and ask you to suck on it.
Yeah. So then he kind of becomes like this stupid character. I don't know if I would say like comic relief, but like he kind of just becomes like character. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. I don't really care about him at all. So I don't know. Like I don't know. What are your thoughts on the Deep after with what I guess his story is?
Well, like his arc is basically one of like. I mean, it kind of focuses into season 2, but it's sort of like redemption. Like he falls, he gets kicked out of the 7. Basically, he's got to go to Cleveland or something.
Yeah, something in Ohio. Fairport. I think it's Fairport, Ohio.
Yeah, he's somewhere in Ohio. Like just some thing. He's like they're going to be their local. Like there's very little crime. He's got nothing to do. Gets $75 like a week. And then like some lady like kind of abuses him. So like he kind of sees out what it feels like, I guess, to whatever. And he's got this like kind of redemption arc sort of thing going where he's like seemed okay, then he was horrible, then he has to apologize, and he like but it goes trying to get back into the
Yeah. So and now I say comic relief.
But he is definitely comic relief because like he is an inept superhero, which we don't really see until.
No, we don't. I will say though, he has the funniest scene of season 1. I think
he does. Well, yeah, I mean, like, but like that was like it's like he's inept. Like he does have a funny. Yeah, he's got some of the funniest scenes in both seasons because of his ineptitude, where he gets one of his favorite creatures killed. He actually does it twice since he gets the lobster killed too.
He does get the lobster killed.
He's like,
he's just trying to save the lobster.
He's like, I'm gonna take you home, and he's like, yeah, I want that one. And the guy like kills it. He's like,
no, don't do that.
Sucks the animals, and then like the I think the scene you're talking about is the dolphin scene.
The dolphin scene.
The dolphin's like talking all kinky and stuff to him, and he's like, I'll put my finger out later. I mean, can we like escape going on or whatever?
Yeah, it has the dolphin like tied up in the back of the car.
It's
so he's driving. He's spraying him with water. He's got a spray bottle.
And then like, he has to stop suddenly. The dolphin shoots out of the windshield and then gets hit by a truck. Like,
yes. And it's funny that they used a dolphin because dolphins are like notoriously like rapey,
notoriously horny.
Yeah. So I thought that I don't know. I thought that whole scene was just great. That happens later on.
And then we also another Lower Decks thing. We had the horny dolphins in Lower Decks season. Tumblr.
Yes, it's coming full circle. It's coming. The last thing we need is a Dune reference, and we're good to go.
Absolutely.
So after this lawyer stuff and the Deep stuff happens, we're really first time introduced to Homelander, who kind of takes down a plane.
Who's just the best.
Yeah, Homelander is supposed to be the superhero, the Superman of the 7. He's like the I don't know. He's literally like Superman, I guess.
They call him like Jesus, which I mean, Superman is like a G comics. So like they've got this. And
it turns out
called him like Jesus because he doesn't smoke, he doesn't drink, he's got like no bad records supposedly, but he's just super good at hiding his tracks.
He's very good at hiding his tracks, and he's kind of like a psychopath. He has no like reason to keep humans alive because he feels like he's so much just like above like human that they just like don't matter. So he kind of just sometimes he doesn't really care about humans too much. So he kind of accidentally quote unquote kills people. He is absolutely. Can you imagine? Every time I see him, I'm like, man, if this dude existed in real life and you knew like what he was actually doing, he is terrifying. That dude is so scary.
I think he's just as much a narcissist in real life. Apparently, he got in a bar fight and arrested. Like, jeez.
Homelander or the actor? What do you mean?
The actor. Not the superhero. They can't arrest the superhero. He wouldn't be taken note, but the actor he got fight.
It makes sense. He looks like he'd get in a bar fight. His face looks like people want to punch it. But I don't know if that's just me projecting because I don't like Homelander very much.
You mean like J.J. Abrams, who got clear evidence he has been punched in the nose several times?
I mean, yeah, there's a little bit of J.J. rubbing off there, for sure. So Homelander's terrifying, and he also has this relationship with, what's her name? I can't think of her name. What's her name? The milk lady. No. I want to say it's Madeline.
Madeline. She manages the super...
Yeah, and Homelander has a weird relationship.
Yeah, she's basically a contractor. She contracts them out to different cities, collects money for like makes the deep cities have a super.
Yeah,
save them.
And she has this sexual mother thing going on with Homelander.
Yeah, it's weird.
So she'll come into play later in the season, but she's kind of striking the deals, and Homelander and her are kind of like it's uncomfortable to watch type of thing. With the way they look.
What?
How Homelander acts.
They're not your favorite scenes?
No, they're definitely not my favorite at all. I don't know. I think they're a little weird, but that's okay. I like weird, so we'll keep it in there because I want things to go past the boundaries of what's acceptable. I want the most unacceptable things happening.
It's not something that would happen in a Marvel movie, so therefore it's good.
Yes, well that's not always true, but this is the case. It is true. I like more of the adult version, obviously, because more of adult.
I'm sure this happened between Happy and Aunt May. We just didn't.
Yeah, it definitely happened. We just didn't. We didn't get to see those scenes. We don't get to see those scenes. I mean, we got our first sex scene in the Eternals. That was the first one that Marvel's ever done, and it was awkward. It wasn't very good. No, anyway, we're not talking about the Eternals. We did that already. Good. Translucent is captured. He's being tortured, and this is where I think this is kind of towards when Huey ends Translucent's life. They have a hard time killing him because he has diamond skin or some impenetrable type of skin going on.
Yeah, his skin is basically impenetrable, but his insides are just as gooey as ever.
Yeah, so they stick a bomb inside him.
Rectally.
And they wait until they decide that Huey blows him up because Huey was about to let him go.
Huey, who's about to...
And then he remembers. He remembers his girlfriend. He says, no. And he presses the button. And Translucent blows up.
I'm surprised Translucent didn't try to take it from him, but Translucent's just so confident that he's not going to do anything. He just walks.
Yeah, he just walks away and gets rid of it. What we haven't talked about yet, because we went ahead a little bit here, is the boys. I don't know if you call them the boys, but Butcher, Huey, Frenchie, and MM.
Yeah,
his name's MM.
They are the boys.
Yeah, they are the boys that are trying to take down Vought, I guess, as a whole, until they get more focused and lasered into what exactly they want. Butcher has specific reasons for what he's doing. I feel like Huey just kind of wants to take down Vought as a whole.
Well, yeah. Butcher specifically wants Homelander, but I mean, if you hurt Vought, you also hurt Homelander.
Yeah, sure, but there's definitely they're in it for a little bit. They're all in it together because they all kind of want the same thing, but they all have individual. I don't know about Frenchie and MM, but Huey and Butcher have different goals that are both kind of the same thing.
That's one thing that they didn't super explain. I get Huey's reason for being in there. I get Butcher's, but they didn't really establish a reason for MM and Frenchie to be part of the. I mean, apparently they got wronged by a superhero somehow, but they didn't explain their reason.
No,
fine, I guess. I really like one of my favorite scenes with all of them is when they're doing and Butcher's asking them Posh doing now? What's Scary
Posh.
Spice doing now? It's like
when they're in the mall, that's when they're in the mall and they're talking about the Spice Girls.
Yeah, it's like separately they're all shit, but together they're the Spice Girls. It's one of my favorite analogies, and then that's when it actually switches to the scene where Dolphin and the D.
Yeah, and also around this time we learn about Compound V officially for the first time. A-Train is taking steroids, which is Compound V kind of, sort of, in this context.
Compound V hates the, but when you're already super, it just amps you up.
Yeah, like you're going on. It's just drugs. They're doing drugs, and they interrogate A-Train's, like, I don't even. Is it his girlfriend, or is it just kind of like
it's his girlfriend, but he's keeping it on the down low. And
on the DL.
Doesn't tell anyone. I mean, like, they're together, and he says he loves her, but, like, he's scared to admit that he's with somebody, because it's his reputation corporately, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
Because, like, you know, they were supposed to appear together, and he's Elvod.
Well, she's like a stripper, or she does like adult, like
she does erotics.
Yeah, it was not, yeah, that was it. So they can't. She's not good for PR, so they don't have her, and that's when
she's like a BC list.
Yeah, this is when the boys kind of come in and interrogate her for what like Compound V is, because that's where they find out. Because the whole reason he's taking Compound V is because he needs to. Well, one, he's addicted, and two, he needs to prove that he's still like the fastest alive. And this scene is kind of stupid because they say, can you imagine going to this whole setup? There's like 1 million people in the stands. They're all watching A-Train, and I can't remember the other fast guy's name. They're race around. They're gonna race on a track, just a standard track, 400 meters, and they do it once, and they do it in like 1 second, and it's like then they're just like done. That filming that must have took so much money and so many people, and they were there for like literally no time at all. It's like they walked out, raced for 0.1 seconds, and they're like, okay, we're cutting to something else. That scene was probably really expensive. I wish it would have done more. That's my gripe.
Well, most of that scene was a setup. He getting Starlight's phone number, them making sure he had Compound V on him. Like it was a lot of the background setup stuff. But I mean, the race was like the setup for the entire happening. If the race wasn't going to happen, he wouldn't have checked up on Compound V running through girlfriends.
Yeah, so I agree with you. And they find out through his girlfriend where they're getting Compound V or something like that. They find out where
Chinatown. Yeah,
it's in Chinatown, and this is where they meet the unnamed feral terrorist girl.
Yeah.
That I can't think. I don't think she has a name in season 1. I was listening for it, and I never really think she got a name. I don't think she gets a name until season 2.
No. The Mesmer gets her name. Don't remember what.
Was it just mentioned once?
Mika? Something like that. I don't know. I can't remember what it was, but like
Kimiko. Okay, it was there. It was back in my brain. I just couldn't.
Yeah.
I was processing the section where it had the boys in it. It just took it. It was in the back.
Processing.
And she's basically a terrorist who's also a beast.
Yeah.
And
well, she was probably one of the test subjects for the Compound V being put into a terrorist.
Yes, exactly.
Because
and now we get to
the mastermind plan behind what Vought is really trying to do. They're trying to get superheroes in the army, and they can't do it through legislation. So basically, Homelander takes it upon himself to Compound V terrorist group.
Yes.
To create a reason to put supers in the...
There is the best character in the 7, in my opinion. Black Noir starts to have his character arc.
Black Noir. Oh man, I love Black Noir. He's like Batman if he was mute.
He's pretty much Batman if he was mute. Yeah, he's my favorite. Is he your favorite 7? I feel like he could be a lot of people's favorite 7. I don't know if I don't know who else you'd pick.
I mean, like, I really like Homelander, but I like him because I like to hate him. He's so messed up, but the actor plays him so well. Like, I love the maniac in his manic in his eyes, and he's insane, and he'll just like flip a switch and he'll be like, "Oh yeah, I'm nice and I'm friendly or whatever."
I'm good.
It's like all a facade. He can just flip into it and flip out of it, and when he flips out of it, it's scary. So good. I mean, it's nice to see him, but Black Noir is awesome because he's just absolutely what Batman should be. If Batman was Peacemaker, this would be Black Noir. And if he couldn't talk or didn't want to talk or whatever, like Black Noir is pretty epic. Watching him do it,
I can't wait to see what they do with him. Even in season 2, they don't really explain much about Black Noir.
But they did.
He's got a story arc.
He's got a weakness.
He does have a weakness.
Was it coconut? They gave him like an almond. Or,
it was nuts. It's nuts.
Yeah.
So
they gave him like a really crappy candy bar, and like to poison him or whatever.
Yeah, and also during the same time is the same episode. I don't know. They blend together when you watch like all of them at once. Yeah. But Butcher uses a baby, which this might be my favorite scene in The Boys season 1 is when it was on all the promotional stuff and trailers when Butcher gets a baby that has compound V in him and uses laser vision to defend himself.
Yeah, from the guys just blowing them up.
Yeah,
the violence in The Boys is absolutely glorious. Over the top, so many ways. The way bodies pop and explode and just
they literally turn it. It's like a condensed pool, and then as soon as you put a pin in that pool, the whole pool explodes with red blood and guts.
Yeah, I'm sure it's not very realistic, but man, it is very impactful.
It's more realistic than what mainstream superhero movies do. How about that?
For sure.
Yeah. Because in mainstream superhero movies, whether you're talking about DC or Marvel, it's kind of like they stab you, there's no blood, and then you just kind of fall.
Superman's just a regular guy, he's fine, he gets...
there's a huge problem right there. Superman would literally vaporize. He would literally do what The Boys... I don't know how accurate The Boys is either, but what happens to The Boys is what Superman would do if you got punched by Superman. You'd just be vaporized.
Misted.
Yeah, so this kind of sort of leads towards the ending 2-3 episodes of The Boys season 1 is when Butcher decides he wants to get revenge on Homelander. So he goes to get somebody he cares about because what happened was Homelander potentially maybe sort of, we don't have concrete proof at this time that Homelander raped and killed Butcher's wife, and that's why Butcher is a psychopath to trying to kill Homelander. So he tries to set up this elaborate plan to kill somebody that Homelander cares about, and that is the milk boob lady. I can't think of her name. Madeline. Yeah, Madeline. Ties her up in a house.
Milky tit lady.
And milky tit lady. And Homelander comes.
The last drop.
Boy, oh boy. Okay. I lost my train of thought. Butcher was boob milk lady tied up, and Homelander comes,
and he's got a dead man's trigger. So if he dies,
and turns out vengeance is not going to work on Homelander because he doesn't care about humans at all. He just kills her.
Like he just looks in her eyes and just laser eyes her eyes out, carves them out of her head, but doesn't go all the way through her head, but just leaves 2 massive caverns where her eyes used to be. Brutal.
Yeah, it really shows that Homelander does not care about anybody, even though we thought he cared about Boob Milk Lady. He really didn't really care, but she also was lying to him, so that kind of played a little bit of a factor there.
He cared about her, but he did not like being lied to, because he went to the guy who created Compound V and told him about the baby that he had with wife and that died in childbirth, and then he told him something that didn't line up with it whenever she admitted. So because she didn't know what he was told, so he figured out that they were both lying. He goes back and interrogates the guy further, comes back, and
yes, that's right.
For lying to him. So it's like it's a big thing. Like she's trying to protect him, like he's a child, and he also hates her baby a lot, because gives the baby more.
And he wants that attention.
He wants the milk biddies.
Yeah, he wants the milk boobies. So as Butcher sees this happening, he's like, well, damn. And he just blows himself up with the dead man switch. He blows everybody up, the whole house. And naturally, Homelander is pretty much unaffected by this. Butcher gets knocked out for some time. And Homelander, he wakes up with Homelander over him, and he's like, hey, I want you to see this, man. I want you to see this. He gets up, and he sees that there is a kid and his supposedly dead wife that are somewhere, and we don't really get much more than that because that's the plot twist of season 1 is that his wife is alive, doing well in a nice looking house, and they have a kid. And Butcher doesn't know if Butcher wouldn't have known yet if that's his kid or not.
Well, they show the kid's eyes light up.
Did Butcher see it though? I can't remember this.
I'm sure he see. Homelander might be blocking his. Probably blocking his.
Well, in any matter, he sees that there is definitely a kid. His wife is definitely alive, and that's where they leave season 1.
Yeah, it's really good ending. It's really well done.
It's a fantastic ending.
Makes you want more. The boys is just fantastic constructed. We skip so much stuff because it's a really dense.
Well, when I was originally thinking about how I wanted to talk about it on the podcast, in case anybody didn't watch it before, I wanted to skip around and talk about things that I found more interesting in a little bit of story beats because I didn't want to spoil the entire show because I think it's a show that if you are a nerdy person and definitely haven't watched this is something you need to watch.
Absolutely need to watch. Queen Maeve's got a side story. There's a lot more.
We didn't even talk about her at all.
Yeah.
We didn't talk about Queen Maeve at all.
Yeah. Queen Maeve, she's got like a thing going on from her past.
She's the Wonder Woman.
She's the Wonder Woman who a lot more going on with Starlight with her background and does in her relationship. It's really good.
Every episode is they have done a great job in making everybody's storyline, except what I've already talked about is the Deep. I don't really care about him. All their storylines besides him are just as interesting as the main storyline, which is pretty much Homelander and Butcher. I think is kind of like the main thing going on.
Yeah.
But they're all very interesting, and I want to know more about all of them. Really, I don't know if you feel the same way or not about that, but I think all the stories are great.
I love Kimiko. I love Frenchie, MM, Starlight. I want more Queen Maeve. Honestly, of all of them, probably both seasons, I would have liked more Queen Maeve because I like the Wonder Woman angle. Like I don't know, it'd be nice to see more of her. If anyone's like underutilized, it's her. And I guess Black Noir, but he doesn't say anything. So
they're purposely making him mysterious for sure.
Oh yeah,
that's definitely a choice they're making.
That's fine because he doesn't talk, so making him mysterious. But Queen Maeve, I could use more Queen Maeve in next season. But
in season 3.
But since in season 3, but since the heroes are kind of like the bad guys, they're not like this. I guess, but of them all, Maeve is probably the other than Starlight.
She is good. She's lawful good.
Starlight or Queen Maeve?
Starlight. She's definitely lawful good.
Yeah, because she's with Huey, so she's basically kind of with the boys from. Butcher doesn't trust her because she's a soup, but because of Huey's connection to her, she's de facto part of the and it's even more so in season 2. Queen Maeve is like
she's lawful neutral.
lawful neutral. Yeah,
because there's a scene that happens with her and Homelander, and she just kind of has to take it, and she doesn't really speak up about it.
Which is really which bothers me a lot, because in the cartoon she can fly on her own. She could have saved them by one.
Well, not even that. The fact that she saw what Homelander did, and she's just kind of has to put up with it. Which also, I don't know. It'd be hard to. There is like definitely a power level difference between Homelander and the rest of everyone else.
Everyone else is scared of Homelander.
Yeah, as much as we've seen of Homelander, whether we're talking about season 1 or season 2, he literally is, as far as we can know, is Superman without a weakness. That's really all we know about him. Obviously, he's not as powerful as Superman, but like he is the Superman character
above everyone else.
Yeah, he's significantly more powerful, and nobody knows of any weakness that he has.
And it's definitely not humans, because he just carved out the eyes of his milk mama.
Yes, his milk mama. Well, I don't know, Dad. Have you got anything else? Gosh, that woman. I'm going to hear about this forever now.
In your dreams, milk lady, sugar mama.
Milk lady. Milk lady. Yeah.
And that relationship gets even weirder in season 2 somehow, though she's dead.
We'll have to talk about... Oh, yeah, it does. We'll have to talk about that next time.
Now you're going to have some bad dreams. Is the shapeshifter guy.
We don't have to get it. We're not talking about season 2. We don't have to get any weirder.
Well, he's in season 1. He blackmails like a Texas senator. Like doing like gay.
Yeah, okay. There's a shapeshifter guy, and he just gets weirder. It just gets weirder.
it does get weirder. Yeah, it's man, it's like I can't wait for season 2, boys. I hope the second half of the Diabolical show gets better. But oh, I also forgot to mention Huey's dad is Simon Pegg, which is another Star Trek reference. Scotty, Star Trek reboot, or Urban Bones. Couple.
Yeah, that was right too. I completely forgot about that.
Yeah, so we got 3 Star Trek people and the boys.
Yeah.
Scotty, Bones, Boimler.
Getting everybody.
Gotta get some Boimler.
That's where they maybe they film the same, because there's a lot of overlap there. I wonder if there's anything going on behind the scenes. If like somebody works on the boys that also works on Lower Decks. It wouldn't surprise me with the way it's written. I don't know.
There's a lot of stuff going on. Like I don't know if you actually I did have some news. Babylon 5, which I mentioned a while ago, was getting a reboot on the CW. It's been postponed indefinitely, so I don't.
You're never getting it then. It will be canceled.
Disappointing. But the thing is, there was some, like, in Hollywood, there's all sorts of, like, leaks and stuff like that behind the scenes, because a lot of people complained that Babylon 5 and Deep Space Nine are close to each other. Like, just speaking about your Star Trek, how the crossover works, because they're very similar, because they're both set up on a space station, hang out or whatever. So it's like, people sharing things. There's other story beats that are seriously similar, even though they aired basically. There was behind the scenes talks about how seasons are going, apparently, and copied each other. They're running.
They did somehow.
Interesting. That was The Boys season 1. I am pumped for 3. This is my first time watching season 1 since I've seen season 2. So it'd be nice to see again fresh after. I think next we're going to be doing Sonic 2. I know we didn't talk about Sonic 1, but we can give a brief.
Yeah, it's just really what Sonic is, I think, for both of us is, I think it's just something that isn't really amazing. It's not really bad. It's just kind of like, it's Sonic, and it's not a terrible video game movie, and it was fun. And we like talking about it.
And the first one, like, it's great. I love how cyberbullying actually could come out of it.
Yeah, we'll talk about it briefly before we talk about Sonic 2, just to catch everybody up, because it's really, there's not really a deep story going on here.
I mean, they did change the lore, the Sonic lore.
Yeah. Well, enjoy, everybody. Enjoy your time. Hope you enjoyed listening. Email David at synthaholics@yahoo.com.
Thank you all for listening. Thanks, Brian. And Bye.